What is going on, you guys? This is the Cubo here, and as you can clearly see, I am wearing my teal and black like a Duval cat, and I'm not just here to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm here to specifically talk about one Jacksonville Jaguar. That, of course, being my guy, Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people on Twitter and on Facebook and YouTube like to talk about, oh man, Trevor Lawrence in the last 5 games, he's done this and that and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people right now on YouTube, in regards to the Jacksonville Jaguars, they like to talk about, can they make the playoffs at 5-8 because they're only 2 games behind the Tennessee Titans? All that kind of stuff. Are they going to be able to make it to the playoffs? All that kind of stuff. I wanted to do something a little different, seeing as this is my very first video in like 5 weeks since I just moved into my new place. And coincidentally, in those last 5 games, or last 5 weeks since I have made my last video, Trevor Lawrence has been playing at an MVP level. You don't believe me? Well, I got the stats right behind me to show you guys just how well he has been playing compared to the other quarterbacks in the league. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the big whiteboard behind me. I got it all propped up on my new little stand that I just bought. So let's go ahead and take a look. So first things first, let me make sure that microphone doesn't fall out. First things first, I wanted to show what other quarterbacks that I have on the whiteboard along with Trevor Lawrence. I have Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. These other 5 quarterbacks are the guys that typically are the ones that you hear that are in the race for the league MVP in 2022. So I figured, if we're just going to talk about Trevor Lawrence and how well he's been playing, and if I'm going to say he's playing at an MVP level, might as well compare him to the other MVP candidates. Or I should say the actual MVP candidates, because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is actually going to win said award unless he does something stupid and crazy, like there were an average of like 5 touchdowns over the last 4 games. But he was a little too inconsistent in the first half of the season. That's why I don't think he's going to be able to win it this year. But regardless, let's just talk. We're here to just talk about the last 5 games of each of these quarterbacks. So let's go ahead and start with Trevor Lawrence. He's the main star of this video. Over the last 5 games, Trevor Lawrence has thrown for 1,362 passing yards, has had a 71.8 completion percentage, 10 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a passer rating of 111.7, and 1 rushing touchdown to add to that mark. And the Jaguars, with that play of Trevor Lawrence, have gone 3-2 over that stretch. Really something that Jaguars absolutely needed after that 5-game brutal losing streak that they were on. They're now sitting at 5-8, and they have a chance to possibly make it to the playoffs, depending on how Tennessee plays out. I still think it's their division to lose, but to each its own. We'll see how it actually turns out. The Titans have been kind of shaky over the last couple weeks, but the main reason they're still in the playoff contention and still in the hunt, as people like to say, is because of Trevor Lawrence and how well he has played. And as you can see, these little stars, little dots, little symbols I have right there, that's because no other quarterback that I'm going to discuss in this video has had a better completion percentage, a better touchdown to interception ratio, and a better passer rating than Trevor Lawrence. That's how well he's been playing, folks. But enough about Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about some of these other quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's the only other quarterback in this group that I'm going to be talking about that actually has more passing yards and passing touchdowns than Trevor Lawrence. Let's go over those stats real quick. Patrick Mahomes has 1,555 yards over the last 5 games. with a 63.9 completion percentage. You could probably just round it up to 64. 12 touchdowns. Again, the only one out of this group that has more passing touchdowns than Trevor Lawrence. But he also has 5 interceptions and also has 1 rushing touchdown and a passer rating of 102.89. Former league MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I actually had an opportunity to go to the game between the Jaguars and Patrick Mahomes, or the Jaguars and Kansas City Chiefs, excuse me. And I got to see firsthand Patrick Mahomes in person, vintage Patrick Mahomes plays where he's, running around the backfield, juking defenders and making an unbelievable throw on the sideline. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception in that game. He was tremendous. So he is a legit candidate for the league MVP. Let's not discredit him. Even though I'm talking praise about Trevor Lawrence, he's definitely going to be in the running for league MVP. And speaking of in the running for league MVP, let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa, another guy that sort of is having a breakout season this year. A new coaching staff, a couple new weapons added to the offense, and he has definitely improved from the last couple of seasons to this season. And very much so, there's a good chance, I would imagine, that the Miami Dolphins make it to the playoffs this season. So let's go over the stats for Tua Tagovailoa. He has had, over the last 5 games, 1,326 passing yards, 60.3 completion percentage, 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, a passer rating of 102.87, damn near similar to that of Patrick Mahomes, actually. But he's the only one out of this group with 0 rushing touchdowns. Even still, especially coming off those really bad head injuries that he was sustained earlier this season, it's amazing that he's playing still at this very high level. And he's made a couple comeback wins against teams like Baltimore and such. But let's move on to the next quarterback, and that is actually going to be, let me transition over this way, actually. Jalen Hurts, who, like Patrick Mahomes, I think is going to be very much in the running for the league MVP when it's all said and done. He's had 1,115 passing yards to 67.7 completion percentage. He's had 10 touchdowns to 1 interception, a passer rating of 109.33, and he's also got 4 rushing touchdowns over the last 5 games. That I just wanted to point out. The whole thing about the rushing touchdowns, I think, is kind of irrelevant, except for Jalen Hurts, because his ability to run with the football gives the Eagles just an advantage offensively. And I would say one of the main reasons why the Eagles are 12-1, I believe they're 12-1 right now. I could be mistaken, or it's either 12-1 or 11-1. I've lost track at this point. They've only had 1 loss this season. All right. And the reason for that is because of Jalen Hurts. All right. Like I said, it's probably going to come down to one of these 2 guys up top, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, to winning the league MVP. But even still, Trevor Lawrence has better stats, passing stats, than Jalen Hurts. Another guy I want to bring up, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. He has had, over the last 5 games, 1,150 yards passing, 63.3 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 89.05 passer rating, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He hasn't been playing as well this season, but I still feel like it was important to at least bring up Josh Allen because a lot of people still consider him as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And someone that's actually fairly similar to Trevor Lawrence in terms of, I guess, size, athletic ability, arm talent, all that kind of stuff. So I figured I would want to at least put Josh Allen into this group. Out of the other 5 quarterbacks that I'm talking, other than Trevor Lawrence, I think Josh Allen has the lowest chance to actually win the league MVP. But again, I wanted to bring him into this conversation because a lot of people like to talk about how much of a great quarterback Josh Allen is. So again, better stats than Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence has better stats than Josh Allen over the last 5 games. Now we transition to the last quarterback I wanted to talk about. A fellow former #1 overall pick in Joe Burrow, who actually beat Trevor Lawrence in the national championship game. I wanted to bring that up. And one thing that I want to mention, the Cincinnati Bengals, don't look now, they've won, I believe, 7 straight games. That's really, really good. All right. And a lot of that has to do with Joe Burrow. Let's look at those stats in the last 5 games for Joe Burrow. He has 1,356 yards passing, 66 completion percentage, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a passer rating of 103.12, and 2 rushing touchdowns to boot. Again, though, Trevor Lawrence, outside of the rushing touchdowns, Trevor Lawrence has had better stats than Joe Burrow over the last 5 weeks. So as you can see, Trevor Lawrence is playing at a very high level, an MVP level in the regular season. Now, here's the thing that really boggles me, though, that really makes me astounded that he's playing at this high of a level. Let me look at this whiteboard again and let me show you something. He has the better passer rating than all these other quarterbacks, the best touchdown to interception ratio, 0 interceptions, folks, 0 interceptions. Keep that in mind. 71.8 completion percentage, better than all these other guys. And here's the thing that boggles me. He doesn't have as good as weapons as those other guys. He doesn't. I don't want to discredit Christian Kirk or Zay Jones or Evan Ingram. Those guys are having career years this season with Trevor Lawrence. And their first year with Trevor Lawrence, mind you. But again, looking at this board, I mean, he doesn't have Travis Kelce like Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith like Jalen Hurts does. He doesn't have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle like Tua does. He doesn't have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins like Joe Burrow does. And he most certainly doesn't have someone like Stephon Diggs like Josh Allen does. All of those guys I just mentioned have either a top 5 or top 10 wide receiver at their disposal, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, who has the best pass-catching tight end in the league. It's not even close. I saw that man in person. I know how good Travis Kelce is. And even still, with all those weapons that those guys have at their disposal, Trevor Lawrence is outplaying them, folks. It's going to be really interesting to see if Trevor Lawrence can still replicate and continue this MVP level throughout the last 4 weeks of the season. But with that being said, folks, I think I've kept you here long enough. Let me know what you guys think of how well Trevor Lawrence has been playing these last couple weeks in the regular season. And do you think he's going to continue to be playing at this high of a level throughout the regular season? Let me know in the comment section down below. I am, of course, in the Q-Bone. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.